Happy Saturday. I wish I had a cartoon for you this morning, but I don't. Uh, a few minutes ago, I even got out my guitar and thought, well, maybe I should sing a song of some kind. After all, today, in 1937, Amelia, as we all know, Amelia Earhart disappeared. And on this date in 1939, President Franklin Roosevelt coined the term New Deal. Well, we need another New Deal, I tell you, of some kind. Be that as it may, the only thing I could think of to sing was the song about Amelia Earhart. And I don't think that was appropriate. I don't even remember the words too much. It was a ship out on the ocean, just a speck against the sky. Amelia Earhart flying proud that day, with her partner Captain Noonan on the 2nd of July. Her plane fell in the ocean far away. A half an hour later, an SOS was heard. The signal weak, but still her voice was brave. In shark-infested waters, her plane fell in that day, in the blue Pacific to a watery grave. There's a beautiful, beautiful field far away in a land that is fair. Happy landings to you, Amelia Earhart. Earhart. Farewell, First Lady of the Air.
Oh, that's a cheerful way to start the weekend. Lon's been listening to the news.
If we ever needed Amelia Earhart, we need her now.
Really?
No, probably not. Anyway, speaking of Amelia Earhart, let's talk about eating God. Eating God is what a Eucharist is. Eucharist. And we're all familiar with Eucharists. I was raised Methodist, and just a couple times a year, not every Sunday, but just a couple times a year, on dates that I never understood, the ladies at church would cut up little cubes of Wonder Bread, white Wonder Bread. And they'd cut it up on Saturday, the day before, so that by Sunday, that white Wonder Bread was dry. It was like powder when you put it in your mouth. It was awful. And then they had hundreds of little tiny shot glasses, about like that. And because Methodists wouldn't dare use wine, they filled it up with Welch's Concord grape juice. And they set that out the day before too, so enough of the water in the grape juice had evaporated to just leave sort of a sticky, super sweet kind of sludge. And then they would pass at a certain part of the ceremony that, and On the night before he was taken or something like that, he broke the bread and said, "Take, eat," and all of that. Okay, and I talk about my traumatic experience at the communion rail, where God seemed to nail my choir robe to the floor so I couldn't get up after I refused to take communion in my final visit to the Methodist Church. But that's a long story. But the thing is, they repeat what Jesus was supposed to have said at the Last Supper: "Take, eat, for this is my body." And everybody takes and eats. And drink this, because it's my blood. And I always thought it was a little creepy, okay? But when you think about it, it's a real visceral form of worship. And it's a holdover, at least in the Judeo-Christian traditions, of temple worship and the sacrifice of various animals, and certain parts of the animals are eaten, but for some reason they really don't want you drinking the blood in the Jewish temple service. But the blood is used to sprinkle on
Wash the
stuff.
streets.
Huh? To wash the street.
Around the temple.
Right, yeah. They had special gutters and everything. It was wild. And if you recall from yesterday's talk, where I was reading Crowley's vision of the 12th Aether, where the angel told Crowley that the blood that is put on the doorposts at Passover to keep the angel of death from coming in is actually the key by which he entereth in. And it's sort of a wild thing, this body and blood of God. And maybe it goes back to the hunt and the religious observances of cultures that hunt for nourishment. Og and the boys go out to kill a boar to bring back to feed the village for another week. And it's a big damn boar, and the boar turns and kills Og and then runs away. And the other hunters have the sad duty of dragging Og back to the village and say, not only don't we have anything to eat, but it killed Og. And everybody said, "Oh, thanks, Og. He tried to save us. Okay, he tried. We're sad for Og. We love him. He is like now a mystical king off in Ogland somewhere." But because they still didn't have anything to eat, I speculate that more than one time, when Og came home dead instead of the boar, the village ate Og, and were very grateful for the nourishment. Og, the dead savior king. But what are we really eating? What is really being sacrificed? What do we really get out of any form of nourishment, life-sustaining nourishment? What we're getting is the sun. We're getting sunlight. And if we're going to think about any visible object to represent God, the sun's a pretty damn good candidate. There are two major thelemic magic, modern thelemic magic rituals that have the Eucharist as a centerpiece. The first one, Crowley says it's recommended for practice every day for a magician of any grade, and that's the Mass of the Phoenix, Liber 44. You can find it in Theory and Practice. You can find it in the Equinox. You can find it in Understanding, or excuse me, The Magic of Aleister Crowley. You can find it in a number of places. It's really short, one-page thing. And what it does, it's a ceremony, a blood ceremony. But the only blood you're dealing with is your own. Because ultimately, you can sacrifice nothing but yourself. Otherwise, you're imposing upon the will of what you're cutting up or killing. Keep it to yourself, as we say. And in the Book of Lies, where the Mass of the Phoenix first appeared, at least as far as my understanding, there is another comment chapter about the Mass of the Phoenix, and it's called Twig. Now, Twig, the phoenix that rises from its own ashes, when it's getting ready for the big transformation, it goes around and picks up twigs and builds a nest for itself, and then sits on the nest and starts the nest on fire and burns up in the flame, but then is reborn. So this chapter in the Book of Lies is called Twig. The phoenix hath a bell for sound, fire for sight, a knife for touch, 2 cakes, one for taste, the other for smell. He standeth before the altar of the universe at sunset. When earth life fades, he summons the universe and crowns it with magic light to replace the sun of natural light. He prays unto and gives homage to Rahur Kuit. To him he then sacrifices. The first cake, burnt, illustrates the prophet drawn from the scheme of incarnation. The second, mixed with his life's blood and eaten, illustrates the use of the lower life to feed the higher life. He then takes the oath and becomes free, unconditioned, the absolute. Burning up in the flame of his prayer and born again, the phoenix. Pretty cool, huh? Now, that's so short. I'm going to use that as the prologue and the epilogue to the Mass of the Phoenix itself. Now remember, this ideally takes place at sunset, where the magician can actually see the sun going down. For a couple of years, I was lucky enough to have, I guess we were lucky to have our apartment on Hamilton Street. There was a bathroom and had a window that faced due west. And when you left the bathroom door open, there was our son's bedroom. Now, that's the only bedroom in the house. Constance and I slept in the living room. Wasn't that cozy, dear?
It was fine. It had a clothesline, it had a place to plant flowers, it had a full garage. Every room had a window in it, even though it was a duplex.
Yeah.
They managed to do things at that place.
And
People were killing each other in the street, you know, with knives, I think.
there was
It
gunshots.
was
Yeah.
not good, and glass breaking and stuff. And a giant German Shepherd nearly ate our dog, except our 4-year-old son pulled our dog away from the German Shepherd, and that was that.
And of course, we had a leak, a bathroom leak that they wouldn't fix.
And we called it
Foak Falls, because that was in the years just before I joined the OTO, or we joined the OTO, and we were calling ourselves Friends of Aleister Crowley, FOAC.
And it was like, well, now people have these, our neighbors have lots of them, electrical fountains. Well, we didn't have to do that. It just ran all the time. The bathroom pot, like a strong trickle, like a fountain in your own house, for, you know. And we didn't pay the water bill, and there was no water shortage at that time. So
Not only that, but I used Jean-Paul's bedroom to do Goetic evocations.
well, he came in and slept with me.
Well, he slept out in the living room, and that's where I did the consecration of my wand that caused the water main, the main water main, to blow up and wash the driveway away.
And it's where we got our first cat, who came to us and had kittens. Had 8 kittens 5 minutes after we got her.
Yes, and that's the start of 19 cats we had at one time, wasn't it? But we digress. Anyway, I was talking about that bathroom.
Communion.
The bathroom, you could stand in my makeshift temple in Jean-Paul's bedroom and look through the bathroom door, out the bathroom window, at the setting sun. So I could set up my little Mass of the Phoenix altar with an incense burner and a couple cakes of light, and once with a scalpel. Don't ever use a scalpel. Let my blood sacrifice wash you clean of such stupidity. But I could set up my little altar there and do the Mass of the Phoenix. The idea is that the sun is going down, okay? And you want to spiritually trap the sun in yourself. And the best way to do that is as the sun is bathing your chest in that orange glow of sunset, make a small cut on your bare chest. And that beautiful, oddly creepy, beautiful red blood pops out, and then you trap the sunlight.
Just like when you're pruning roses in the sunshine.
That's why we have rose crosses on our chest.
Right.
And then when the sun is all trapped, the sunlight is trapped in your own living blood, you eat it as a Eucharist. So,
But let's not forget that the words sun and sun sound so much alike. And Christians do eat the Son of God.
oh, that's just a coincidence.
No, it's not.
I know. And Saul is the root of solo.
Which means there's only one Son of God, and it's all of us.
That's exactly what it means. The Magician. Oh, let's see. I'll read the title first. Liber 44. 44 is Dalath Mem in Hebrew, and I don't know how it's really pronounced. There is no correct Hebrew pronunciation. Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford told me that, so I'm sticking to it. Daleth Mem. It's probably pronounced dumb. Adds to 44. Mem is 40 and Daleth is 4. Mass 44, blood. The Mass of the Phoenix. The magician, his breast bare, stands before an altar on which are his burin, that's a gouging tool, bell, thurible, and 2 of the cakes of light. In the sign of the Enterer, he reaches west across the altar and cries, "Hail, Ra, that goest in thy bark into the caverns of the dark." He gives the sign of silence. Those 2 signs always go together. Hail, Ra, that goest in thy bark into the caverns of the dark. Active, passive. Just like the sun is actively radiant and passively centripetal? Gravity, pulling it in. Light, radiating out. Passive, active. But I digress. I'll repeat. In the sign of the Enterer, he reaches west across the altar and cries, "Hail, Ra, that goest in thy bark into the caverns of the dark." He gives the sign of silence and takes the bell and fire in his hands. East of the altar, see me stand with light and music in mine hand. He strikes 11 times on the bell and places the fire in the thurible. Now, 11 times, he has it in batteries of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, like that. And places the fire in the thurible. I strike the bell, I light the flame, I utter the mysterious name, Abra Hadabra. He strikes 11 times again on the bell. Ding, 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 ding. Now I begin to pray. Thou child, holy thy name and undefiled. Thy reign is come, thy will is done. Here is the bread, here is the blood. Bring me through midnight to the sun. Save me from evil and from good, that thy one crown of all the 10, even now and here, be mine. Amen. He puts the first incense cake on the fire of the thurible. I burn the incense cake, proclaim these adorations of thy name. And it says, he makes them as in Liber Legis, after which he strikes the bell 11 times. So the adorations in Liber Legis, at least as I was taught, are those poetic sections of translations directly off the Stele of Revealing. They weren't really part of the dictated part of the Book of the Law, but they were inserted by Crowley and Rose after the Book of the Law was dictated. And that's unity uttermost showed, I adore the might of thy breath. Supreme and terrible God, who makest the gods and death to tremble before thee, I adore thee. Appear on the throne of Ra, Open the ways of the Ku, lighten the ways of the Ka. The ways of the cobs runs through to stir me or still me. Aum, let it kill me. That's what it said on the stele. Crowley allowed it to be reprinted, Aum, let it fill me. There's still debate over, are you a fill or a kill? The light is mine, its rays consume me. I have made a secret door into the house of Ra and tomb of Kephra and Ahithur. I am thy Theban, O Mentu, the prophet, Ankh, and Kansu. By best Namaut my breast I beat, by wise Tanich I weave my spell. Show thy star splendor, O Nuit. Bid me within thine house to dwell. O winged snake of light Hadit, abide with me. Rahur Kuit. Those are the adorations. Let's see here. He makes the adorations as in Liber Legis and strikes 11 times on the bell. Ding, 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 ding. With the burin, he then makes upon his breast the proper sign. In the ritual here, it does, not even in a footnote, does it tell you what the proper sign is, but people have good ideas what that probably is. So you take that gouging tool, and after the adorations and the ringing, you make the sign on your chest. And it starts to bleed a little bit. Behold this bleeding breast of mine, gashed with the sacramental sign. And if your timing is right, the sun it's soaking up the life of the sun. Then, as your chest is bleeding a little bit, you take the second cake and put it on the wound. You're softening and smoothing it down with rich, fresh blood. The incense part of the cake is without blood. I staunch the blood, the wafer soaks it up, and the high priest invokes. He eats the second cake. This bread I eat, this oath I swear, as I inflame myself with prayer, there is no grace, there is no guilt. This is the law. Do what thou wilt. Now you notice it says, this is the law. Do what thou wilt. He strikes 11 times on the bell. Ding, 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 and cries, Abra Hadabra. And that's that beautiful 418 word with 5 A's and 6 other letters, the union of the 5 and the 6. It's the ultimate Shazam magic word. Abrahadabra, I entered in with woe, with mirth, I now go forth, and with thanksgiving, to do my pleasure upon the earth, among the legions of the living. He goeth forth. Keeping all that in mind, here's that twig again from the Book of Lies. The phoenix hath a bell for sound, fire for sight, a knife for touch, 2 cakes, one for taste, and the other for smell. He standeth before the altar of the universe at sunset, when earth life fades. He summons the universe and crowns it with magic light, to replace the sun of natural light. He prays unto and gives homage to Rahur-Kuwait. To him he then sacrifices. The first cake, burnt, illustrates the prophet drawn from the scheme of incarnation. The second, mixed with his life's blood and eaten, illustrates the use of the lower life to feed the higher life. He then takes the oath and becomes free, unconditioned, the absolute. Burning up in the flame of his prayer and born again, the phoenix. Do you have any thoughts on that, dear? Yeah.
Sounded more like Sunday school instead of cartoons.
That's true.
But Lon's life force is leaking out this morning because I can notice from here that he has a hole in his right sock. Don't shout. Well, don't shout. I think I have something to do today.
Oh, darn. I should really be doing it myself. I usually do. But
I'm not throwing away a good sock.
I
for
keep
one little
poking
hole.
myself with. I'm not to be trusted with needles
Or fire.
or fire or sharp
water,
objects.
Or sharp objects. Tools of any kind.
I'm not even allowed to run with myself in the house. Until tomorrow, Sunday school. I won't sing Amelia Earhart tomorrow.
No, you won't. That's awful. That's not worth it.
Well, go forth this 4th of July weekend and eat a god. Until tomorrow for Sunday school.
Or as Jesus said, do this and remember you are me.
He's always been misquoted. It's do this and remember you're me. Do this in remembrance of yourself.
That's not what I said.
Okay. Oh, do this and remember you are me. Ring the bell there, dear.
What bell?
The one right behind you.
Wait.
Give us a 353.
I was starting, but you interrupted me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Abrahadabra. We entered in with woe, with mirth we now go forth, and with thanksgiving, to do our pleasure on the earth among the legions of the living. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law, love under will.